Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. My name is Jerry, and I'm hailing you from the Antari shipyard, and today we are talking about Tabletop Simulator and the updates to the Star Trek Attack Wing mod. So some of you may or may not know, I have been helping with the code for the Star Trek Attack Wing mod for quite some time now. So much so that my skills have probably improved tenfold from when I started. Still do not consider myself a coding genius or anything. Definitely very much still in the noob category in my own mind. But the exciting news is Crazy Vulcan has come back into the fold. He has decided to come back and help out with some of the coding for the mod. So a huge shout out to him for a lot of this. He and I have been working together to kind of get this mod in tip-top shape and running very smooth. I will admit that when I was doing the coding, there was a lot of repetitive code going on, and you know, I attribute that to my newness or my naivety to coding in the coding world. But and some of you may have noticed that with the mod running a little bit slower, doing things slower. But the good news here is we have eliminated a lot of that code. So this update should be live by the time this video comes out. If not, it will be live within the next couple of days. For the most part, it is live. There's just one or two things that will be missing from the mod that's out there right now if it hasn't been updated. So without further ado, let's get over to the table so I can start showing you guys exactly what's going on with the mod here. So, here's the mod. This is what you'll see when you first load up. You'll already notice that something is very different. The initiative arrow that you normally would flip is gone, and instead it is replaced with the initiative token and the night shift token. That way you are easily able to tell who has initiative, who has night shift. I think we'll go ahead and we'll break that down first. Now, keep in mind this is set up for 2 players, red versus blue, but I do know that people use this mod to play multiplayer games, and if that is the case, you'll notice that these 2 tokens here are locked to the board, so you cannot move them. But if you are wanting to play multiplayer and you want to use the multiplayer rules where you pass the initiative to the left clockwise around the table, inside of this comm badge here, this is the map elements. This is where you'll find some things, 3D objective tokens, objective tokens, planets, 3D planets, flat planet tokens, the shipyard tokens in here, space station token, and then of course just some random bits and odds. But down here you'll get the initiative token. You can pull this out of the bag and place it, and then this is what you can pass around to the left. And of course there's also a night shift version that you can also pass. So I'll go ahead and put those back for now. So let's turn the table here so we can read this. What we've created in the middle here is kind of a round counter. So you can click start game, and it's going to ask you who won the initiative roll. So either the red player or the blue player. Or, if you don't want to do the initiative roll, I have included a random start button. The random start button will run an RNG between numbers 1 and 2. And depending on whoever, I forget who I set as 1 and 2, whoever the RNG says, whatever they roll, will be the ones that start. So let's just go ahead, let's hit the random start button here, and what we'll see is these tokens will get placed. So blue player won initiative this time, and those tokens actually flip-flop sides, so now it shows that the blue player has initiative and the red player is on night shift. So what you see here is you've got the round counter, you've got the planning phase. It tells you exactly what phase you are in the game, and then when you guys are ready to move on, so after all the dials are set, you can hit next phase, and the phase will advance over to the activation phase. You'll notice the round counter did not go up. That'll be the same throughout most of these phases. So after the activation phase, you've got combat phase, and then After the combat phase is finished, you get into the end phase. That's where you clean up all your tokens, and then from here you move on back to the planning phase. So when you hit next phase, what should happen, and you should see it on screen, is the initiative token should move over to the red side, and the night shift token will move over to the blue side, and the round counter will move up to 2. Just like that. So that is how initiative will be tracked from here moving forward in the mod. It'll be nice to have a nice little round counter as well, so you know exactly where you're at. You won't get lost, and these things will just automatically do this. So that's one of the big improvements. Another big improvement that we've got going on is the universal dial. So you may ask, well, Jerry, where do you find the dials? Because now when you build and pull a fleet, it's not going to pull a dial out for you. That was kind of causing a lot of the problem because there are about 400 different models in the game. When we're talking in regards to ship models themselves, and of course each ship model had its own dial. So we needed to kind of dial that back, pull that back to make sure that we can get rid of those lines of code. So what Chris did was condense everything down into one universal dial. So it is right here in this bag in the top corner here. This is the universal dial bag. So what you do is you just click on it and you grab a dial out of here, and we'll place that in the middle, and then I'll go grab a ship. Here we go. And you know, we'll make a copy of this. We'll put it down here. Now we'll zoom in. Alright. So what you'll notice is this dial is very naked. There's nothing here. You right click, there's nothing on this menu here. So these dials have been designed, when you sync them, when you hit the setup button, it has been designed to figure out what model you are syncing it with, and it will go and grab the movement cards for that model, that class of ship. On top of that, it will also figure out what model you're using, and know exactly what the action bar looks like. So if I right click on the Enterprise E, its right click menu will also be pretty empty. It does have one ship ability thing here. We'll talk about that in a second. So to set the dials up, you just quite simply set the dial on the ship, click the setup button, and now the dial is not so naked. And to prove that it's got all the correct movements for the Sovereign class, let me go grab a Sovereign class movement card. So let's grab a Sovereign class movement card. Okay, so what we should see is a bank 1 green. Yep, we've got that. We should have a bank or straight 1 green, a bank right green, bank 2 white, 2 green, bank 2 white. Then we should have a turn 3, bank 3 white, forward 3 green, and on and on. So we should be looking for this red 6 and this red reversed 1. 4, 5, there's our red 6, there's our reverse 1. So you can see that this is set up to a Sovereign class dial. Now, excuse me. Now, when we right click on the dial, we will also see, hey, this right click menu has all of a sudden got stuff in it. So you can access the ship arcs and the ranges from the dial itself if you want to. You can see it's got the correct arcs here. It's got a rear 90 and a front 90, and then of course range 1, 2, and 3. If you right click the ship, you also have the ranges, the arcs, and the tokens. So evade, target lock, battle stations, and scan, along with the aux power. So now you can place these tokens. You can do the arcs from here, and then of course you got the ship ability, which again we'll talk about here in a second. So that's what the universal dial does. It adds all of this stuff for you. It figures out what you're doing. Now, another big update with the dials and the movements of the ships me grab another ship here, is the bump mechanic. Now, I will preface this by saying that there is a bit of fine-tuning that still has to happen here, but for the most part, it is very playable. It doesn't really adjust the game or change the game too much, but if your ship overlaps another ship token, then it will detect that it has bumped and it will move itself back on its trajectory. So again, another warning here. These ships from here on out will be locked to the board, so you can't move them and you cannot do a measurement tool where it used to be able to snap from shortest distance to shortest distance. In order to do the measurement tool, you have to unlock the ships, but I highly recommend not doing that, and I'll demonstrate why here in a second. But I'm going to relock them. So let's go ahead and, okay. Let's just lock the Tacumber down, so they are both locked down. So we're going to set the Enterprise E to a 1 forward and hope we bump, and we'll see what happens. Engage. Clearly a bump, so it does move back along its path. Now, you'll notice that there is a little bit of a gap here. Again, it's not perfect yet. It is still being fine-tuned. This will get closed in time, but it's not really going to overall affect the game overall. So, let's go ahead and let's hit undo, and it moves back to its original position. So why do I say that these ships need to be locked to the board? Well, let's go ahead and let's unlock the Tacumber, and let's try this movement again. You'll notice that the ship got kicked off to the side. So if the figurines, the models, are not locked to the board, if a ship runs them over, they will move. There's a potential that they'll either move a little bit or they'll go flying off the board. So it's just better to go ahead and let the ship models be locked to the board. Okay. So, with that being said, now let's say, okay, that's great, but I need to choose a maneuver that's not on my dial. Say, you've got a thing that'll let you do a 4 bank, for example. So what you'll do is you'll choose your movement as normal, you'll set the dial, and then instead of clicking engage, which will move the ship, you'll click reveal. What reveal does is it will flip the dial over, but it also gives you a new menu option at the bottom here called additional moves. When you click on this, it will spawn one of the old movement pads, and this movement pad is already locked and synced to the Enterprise E. So if we needed to do a 4 movement or a 4 bank, that's what we'll do. I will do a 4 bank, and you can get rid of this pad. You don't need this anymore. So let's undo it. Let's try it again. So there is a 4 bank, and that's it. So that is how you do extra maneuvers. And of course, this will allow you to do this, and the sensor echo is built into this. So you are able to do that. Again, there's still a little bit of fine-tuning and some code that we need to take off of this pad here that I'm just now noticing that I'm going to write down for a future update. But this is how we're going to do this. This is awesome. This is great. This is better than what we had going on with it having all of the movement dials on this. Of course, you can hit set and then you hit engage and you're back to where you're supposed to be. Now, the other new update that we got going on is the ship movement itself. You'll notice that the ships don't just move and appear where they're supposed to be anymore. Now they actually fly around the board. That is definitely a lot of this work. Again, huge shout out to Chris, Crazy Vulcan, for a lot of this work. But I think it's much better to see the ships kind of flying around the board as opposed to what they were doing beforehand. So, whoop. And you notice it won't move anything along the way unless tokens aren't locked down or anything. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to recopy this dial here because I noticed that my menu has gone away. Again, probably one of those bugs that will get fixed. So I've resynced everything. We've got all of this, but we don't have what I want. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll delete the Enterprise E, and we'll grab another. Okay. So we will do that. We will copy this dial again. And we will set up. There we go. Okay. So, another new feature that we've got in here is, and you'll notice the ship abilities. So, the ship ability is exactly as it sounds. It is the ability that is coming from the ship. From this particular Enterprise E, it has this token. So this is the new Enterprise E from These Are the Voyages. It spawns the Enterprise E token, which uses the same card or the same art that is on the token that comes from the pack. And of course, if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it does. So this gives you +1 defense dice, or +1 defense die. Now the Tacumbra, for example, its ship ability is when you place a scan token, you get to place a second one. So when you do its ship ability, you get the 2 scan tokens. And of course, that applies to a lot of cards that are in the game. So let me go over, let's grab all of this. Let's bring it over because I definitely want to show this stuff off. So I showed off what was going on with the ship models. So here is the USS Sutherland ship card. Now if I zoom out here, you'll notice that, hey, a lot of the white boxes are gone from the card. So you can no longer click on the attack dice, the defense dice, or the middle here, or any of these actions. You know, watching people play, and playing a lot of games, I noticed that while those functions are very cool and they are very, they make the game easier, a lot of people don't use them. So they're very underutilized, which means that underutilized code is wasted code. It is space that is being taken up that's not being used, so we got rid of it. The one thing I did see people use a lot, though, was the shields. So, the shield button is still here. When you click on the shield button, you'll get all of the same options. Now, we did include up to 7 shields, which is what you are able to do that's the max shields you can have with Rule of 3. Okay? Say, for some reason, you not play Rule of 3, or you have something that breaks Rule of 3, you wanted an 8th shield, you can click the shield button again, and then you've got this +1 here. So that'll add 1 single shield. But it will add the shields, and you'll notice that the shields don't have the normal ship logos on them. They have the class logo. So in this case, Nebula class, Nebula class. That was kind of an update that happened a while ago in the mod. It's been around for a bit. Again, some people don't realize that that's here. So I just kind of wanted to show that off. But that's what the ship card does. And of course, sometimes if the ships have extra abilities that you can do, you'll find them on the ship base. So like the Enterprise E, where it tells you that it tells you get +1 defense die, you'll find that on the ship base itself. Now, that's not true for other types of cards though, because these cards aren't tied to a ship base, right? So, and I can't, there isn't a way for us to code for these cards to know what ship they belong to. At least not one that we're aware of yet. You know, Crazy Vulcan and I have talked about this. It'd be really cool to be able to do that, to where we can click on one of these cards and it'll place the token next to the ship that it's coming from. but again, it's not something that we're aware or can figure out how to do at this point in time. So, cards that spawn tokens or do things, you'll have to do them from the card itself. So, for example, let's say we've got Borg Janeway up here, and she says place 8 drum tokens on this card. So if I right-click this card, you'll see that you've got Card Actions menu here. And one of the actions is Drone Token. So we can click on that, and it'll place a drone token where it's supposed to go. And then you'll see that the state is at 1, signifying that she has 1 drone. You can change the state over to 8, and there you go. So now you've got 8 drones. You know she's got 8 captain skill going on. There's that. Now say that there is an effect that causes you to disable Janeway. You can click on the Disable token. That'll place a Disable token there. Say that there's an effect that says you place Time token on the captain. You can place a single Time token on that captain. Again, say there's something that discards the captain. You hit discard and it flips the captain card over. Now the drone token did fall beneath. There we go. Okay. So, in Adversaries of the Delta Quadrant, we also got a couple of new tokens. Those are in the game as well. So if we right-click on Dala, you'll see that there is a Reputation token. So you place the Reputation token. It is a token that I made, so I did not use the same card art, just because I wanted to make it stand out so that everyone knew exactly what it is. So it is a Reputation token, and it does have the purple border like the token does, because it is a continuous effect. Same thing with Yusek here. He's got a Bounty token. So when you click on that, it will create the same kind of token with the purple border, stating that it is a Bounty token. So moving down to some of these other cards here, I just kind of wanted to show this stuff off. I want to save the Doctor for last here. But you got Hikaru Sulu. So this is a very common card that gets used in the game. Action, roll +2 defense dice and convert a battle stations to an evade. So if you right click on him, he does come with a reminder token. So you can click the reminder token. It'll create the token like what came in the These Are the Voyages pack with the card art. And if you scroll over it, it says +2 defense dice and convert 1 battle station's result into an evade result. So it tells you exactly what to do with this token, or what this token's going to do. Same thing here, multi-vector assault mode. So this one has you place 2 mission tokens. So unfortunately you can't place 2 mission tokens on the board next to your ship because it has no idea what ship it belongs to. But if you right click on the menu, you've got 2 mission tokens. And it'll place the 2 mission tokens here. And then you can take them and go place them on the board wherever you need to. Wesley Crusher. So he comes with his own token as well. So if you use his ability, you hit the 2 time token button, it'll spawn 2 time tokens, and it will give you the continuous effect token, which has the green border. Sorry, the permanent effect has the purple border. So the green border here, and it tells you, continuous effect. Apply the effect listed on Wesley Crusher's card, which is this section down here. So again, making use of these reminder tokens, getting them added into the game is definitely a slow process, and we're going back through the catalog to do this. But I'm really excited that these are getting in, because we can actually use them to their full effect here. So Tal Celis says, place 3 time tokens on this card and perform a scan action as a free action. So if you right click her menu, she has a 3 time token button. So you click on that, it'll place the 3 time tokens. Now you'll notice it didn't place a scan token on her card. That's because the insinuation is you're going to go up to your ship base, right click on it, and hit scan to place that scan token. Now, Mr. Scott, Montgomery Scott, you can see that he's got disable 2 of your shields in order to gain +2 attack dice this round. So he also has a reminder token. So if you click on that, you get this nice new reminder token that I created to kind of mimic the reminder tokens that we get in the game. And if you hover over it, again, it tells you +2 attack dice. Now, the cards that are going to have these reminder tokens are typically the cards that have the actions that give you something, and you need to be reminded of it because you're moving outside of that phase. So, say you do something in the activation phase, like Montgomery Scott, to give you +2 attack dice, and then you move into the combat phase. You may forget that you did Montgomery Scott as your action. So that's kind of the point of the reminder token. And I'm going, like I said, we're going back through. I've got all the tokens in a box in front of me here on my desk, and I'm going back through, and I am adding the tokens slowly into the game to the cards that they come from. Now, Elena Nechayev, the Admiral, she came from the Ships of the Line pack, and she has her own unique Admiral tokens. So if we right-click on her card, you'll see she's got +1 Captain Skill, +2 Captain Skill, +3 Captain Skill. So she technically has 3 different reminder tokens based on what you choose. But if you click on them, it will spawn the correct token. So now you've got an Nechayev token that'll give you +3 Captain Skill. Let me go pull this card because I forgot to do it. Same thing with Task Force Commander. That card also has a special token that it came with. This takes a minute to open just because this has got 600 some odd cards in it, thanks to the Federation being the largest faction out there. I don't recommend that you guys play with these in the Isle of No Touchy unless you know exactly what you're doing, just because you may end up messing something up for your game. So, Task Force Commander, again, it's an action, so you're going to give friendly ships within range of you some attack dice. So you can hit the reminder token, and there you go. You got +1 attack dice, +1 defense dice. Now, I saved the Doctor for last because I wanted to talk about RNG a little bit. So, the Doctor here, his ability is he can increase his Captain Skill to a 10 or a 0 based on the results of your attack roll. So you can do this without running this option. So you can right-click on the Doctor, roll the dice yourself, and you can get a skill 0 reminder token or a skill 10 reminder token. Now, there are, for other cards in the game that affect Captain Skill, there are reminder tokens that look exactly like this. For example, Gorn Ale comes with a -2 Captain Skill or -1 Captain Skill, and that token will show that. So going back to the Doctor here, so you can easily just roll the dice yourself and choose the option. Or you'll see we have a roll die option. Now, this doesn't actually roll a dice in front of you. What it does is it runs an RNG through 1 through 8, and I have set the table for that random number generator to the same options that you get on the attack die if you're rolling. And what I mean by that is if I grab an attack die and I hit the number 1 on my keyboard, you'll see that that equates to a crit. If I hit 2, that equates to a blank, so on and so forth. And you'll see that the number on top of that dice is also changing. That is correlated to the face that is showing. So there are 8 faces to this die. So I set the RNG number, the RNG table to that same thing. So it will run and select a random number between 1 and 8, and it will tell you what option it landed on, and it will spawn the appropriate token. So if we click roll die, what we'll see is a message get broadcasted at the top of the screen telling us what the result was. So a blank result was rolled. That means we are a Captain Skill 0. Let's try it again. A hit result was rolled. We are a Captain Skill 10. A hit was rolled. Captain skill 10. A hit was rolled. Okay. A hit was rolled. A battle stations was rolled. A critical hit was rolled. So on and so forth. So that is kind of a lot of the new updates in a nutshell. Another new thing that we are working on, I'm going to go ahead and move most of this stuff off of the board here. Oh, the one thing I didn't talk about was Gold Press Latinum tokens. So Gold Press Latinum tokens are something that you can spawn as well. Let me go grab a Ferengi captain real quick. We'll just say Lurin. So we'll grab Lurin. I'll place him down here. So if we right click on Lurin, we know it says Ferengi upgrades, place 2 Gold Press Latinum tokens on this card. And you can see that we've got 2 Gold Press Latinum tokens. Okay, I will fix that. Apparently that is in the global, so we'll get that fixed before the mod goes live, but Gold Press Latinum tokens will appear on that card. Alright, so what other updates are out there? I've seen some people ask where the Captain skill markers and the Sensor Echo bar lives. Those live here. You've got the Captain skill and then the Sensor Echo bar. That is where those live. Now, one of the other updates that I am working on that it's going to take a while, because there's a lot of them to get through, is the mission database over here. So you'll notice the mission pad has changed a bit. Now it says place the selected mission card to the right. Right click on the mission card and select mission. The map and the map elements will set themselves up, and good luck. If you want to play a new mission, you'll have to reload the mod. That's just kind of a limitation of Tabletop Simulator at the moment. So what does that mean? So let's go ahead and let's look for the Human of Remus. So here is the Human of Remus mission card. Okay, and you'll notice that I have blown the mission cards up so that you can kind of try and read them this way, or you can hit the Alt key on your keyboard and it'll blow it up like this. So you can read it that way. You'll also notice that it says 1-4. That means there are 4 states to this card, so you can cycle through the states here by right-clicking and going to State. And pretty much it's just the sides of the card here. So side 2, you can see the map layout, how it's supposed to be set up. State 3 gives you the rules, and then of course State 4 gives you the objectives. So go back to State 1. Now, the mission pad says to place the card on the right hand side. So we're going to grab it and we're going to hover over and we'll see that, hey, there is something here that's grabbing the card. So there is a snap point that is associated to this pad that will put that right where it belongs. So right there. Now, I'm going to zoom out because we want to see the map over here. But I'm going to right click on this card. I'm going to say, yep, this is the mission I want to play, or me and my opponent want to play. So we're going to right click on the card and we're going to hit select mission. When we do this, the map over here will change, and it will set up the map elements if there are any. So we're talking planet tokens, objective tokens, anything of the sort. It'll set those up automatically for us. So we'll hit select mission. It says the Human from Remus map has been loaded, and you'll notice that the map has changed, and yes, the starting areas are still highlighted, and they are color coordinated to the factions that are playing this mission. So purple for Dominion, green for Romulan, and then you'll see that, hey, there's a planet token that has been set on the board with the 8 time tokens on it. So that is kind of a rundown of that. Again, if we want to change this, we'll have to reload the mod. I don't want to do that at this point. So we'll open the mission database back up, because one of the things I want to show here is that the Q conflict stuff is in here. So I included the Q conflict booklet. You've got both books for the Delta Quadrant campaign faction are located in here as well. I will be working on trying to figure out how to kind of set that up, and I got some cool ideas for that we're working on. And then I've got the Ships in the Line campaign here as well. And of course, when you pull these out, they're nice and big. They are PDFs, so you can flip through the pages and do all that cool stuff. So, I did mention that the Q conflict stuff is in the game here. This box that says "Do not touch," if you search it, it does house the Q conflict bag, which has all of the stuff for the Q conflict mission in it, right down to the Q cards. So I'm going to pull all this out here. It even has the tokens, and you'll notice that they have a little bit of different stuff on them. That's okay. You got the Fair Sport token here. Now you have 2 challenge tokens, which are the Omega Molecule and the Iconian Gateway. They are in here. They are labeled as Q, and I'll show you why here in a second. And then of course you got the Q token bag. So this houses 12 Q tokens right now. What you'll do is you'll take this out, you'll empty the bag out, and then you'll put the Q tokens along with the challenge tokens here in there. And of course you'll need to delete the text off of this so that you don't give away which ones your challenge tokens are. Okay, so let's look at the Q cards themselves. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to grab my USS Sutherland card, and we're going to zoom in. So each one of these Q do something different, and you can see that at the top here. I've put what they kind of do as kind of a reminder to you, like, oh, Q gives me 1+1 to my hull value, so I'm not dead when I get hit with 4 dice or something. So to assign your ship to these cards, you can see that there is another snap point that is involved here. So if you just let go of this, the Sutherland will snap there. It'll snap there. Same thing with Trelane. It'll snap right there. So that's kind of how you use those cards, and of course you can put them all in a pack here and sort them. You can shuffle them and then deal them out face down, and you'll notice that the reminders are there, so you cannot tell who is who, and you can flip them over, and there you have it. Those are randomly shuffled. Okay, moving over to the ship challenge tokens, I put counters on the top of these so you can count, so to help you keep track of where you're at. So like the crystalline entity, if you hit it, you can, if you destroy it, it'll say up here, crystalline entity has been destroyed, so you know to take that ship challenge token. Of course, same thing here with the Queen Octahedron shields. She can repair shields, so it tells you, hey, she's repaired a shield. And it goes up to the maximum, and it won't go any further than that. So over to the tokens, they all have their own types of movement. So I did program these tokens to be able to move themselves. Now, to do that, you right-click on the menu here, and you'll get quite a lot of movement options. Movement is based on who the fair sport player gets to move the token, so they can move it wherever they want. So that's why we've got the north, east, south, and west markers here, so that they can tell which token slot they're going to use. So let's say we want the crystalline entity to move kind of a bank over here. So we can do north a bank, left 1, and it'll move the crystalline entity token where it's supposed to go. Same thing with the Queen Octahedron. It's a Borg ship, so it only does the Borg movements, but forward, and you can move it backwards, or west forward, south forward. Same thing with the Planet Killer. It gets 1 hard turns and banks and a straight, so you can turn it left or turn it right. So you can move that around the board. And of course, it's got a range token for it as well. Same thing here, so all ranges, so you can see where this token is. Okay, so that is the queue conflict in a nutshell. But ideally, that's the update to the mod. Let's see what else people might not know. This box over here, the 72 extra items, this is where you'll find a lot of other map elements. If you're trying to play campaigns and stuff, or any kind of previous OP or mission token or mission play, you'll find that stuff here. Like here's the Scimitar token. Here is the V'ger token, the Botany Bay, the Deep Space Nine token. You've got the board cubes from the OPs. You've got the endgame cube. You've got the counter die. The elite attack die is in here. You've got your fleet action. You've got your listening post from Alliance. You've got the runabout tokens in here. Starfleet Command is in here. You got the weapon platforms. There's a lot of things going on. So definitely in here is where you'll find a lot of that. And I really hope you guys enjoy the mod. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any ideas for updates or stuff that you'd like to see in the mod. I know some people are like, well, I want to see the ship shoot and everything. It's kind of not the point of Tabletop Simulator. Some effects can be done, but they're very, very hard to code in. So we try to make this feel as if you came to the table to play as much as possible. So with that in mind, like I said, let us know what updates you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard.